What to know about Zohran Mamdani and what he wants to do as New York City mayor. I love it when socialists get into power. You just know things are going to go terribly and they're going to go, that wasn't real socialist. You know they're going to do it. It's official, the biggest city in the US has its first Muslim and first South Asian mayor. Woo! Since Democratic Socialist Zoran Mandami first entered New York City's mayoral race, the 34-year-old state assemblyman from Queens has risen from near total obscurity into the national spotlight. His bold left-wing platforms, far left, has energised progressives, shaken up his Democratic Party, and drawn harsh criticism from President Donald Trump and other Republicans. Today, we have spoken in a clear voice. Hope is alive, Mamdani told supporters after triumphing in the contest. He also started naming Uzbekistani and fucking kitchen cleaners and fucking Muslim this and that. He basically thanked everybody except Americans, in the American city that he's now mayor of. Uh, Unlike his more established opponents, Mamdani's new perspective, youth, and new left wing platform excited and ultimately won over voters eager for a fresher politician. Let City Hall, with our compassion, our conviction, and our clarity, be the light that our city and our nation so desperately need, Mamdani said on the week he was elected. New York's a giant shithole. New York is a giant shithole. Most Democrat run cities are massive shitholes in America. They're just giant fucking shitholes, and they're full of all these fucking liberals like, I love paying $3,000 a month and then spending $4,000 on coffee. Oh my god, they make me work like more than like 20 hours a week. It's fucking horrible. I fucking shop. Shut the fuck up. Giving women the vote was a bad idea. But anyway, birth in Uganda and Muslim faith. Born in Uganda to parents of Indian descent, Mamdani moved to New York with his family aged 7. He attended the Bronx High School of Science and later earned a degree in Africana Studies. Their jobs in that, from Bowdoin College, where he co founded the campus chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine. With a complex set of identities, Indian, African, American. If you asked him, he probably wouldn't call himself American. He has faced accusations of gaming identity politics when he identified his race as both Asian and Black or African American in his 2009 application for Columbia University. Nah, I know plenty of people that game the system. I know people who are straight who write bisexual on their job applications because they've got a bigger chance of getting hired. And that's an actual thing. I know people that have struggled to find work. See, as soon as they started writing bisexual on their application, that's when they started getting interviews. Yeah, so game the system. Just so that if you 1% Pocahontas, fucking put that in your CV. Fuck it, why not? If the system's retarded, then abuse it. Plenty do. You might as well. Uh, he responded to accusations saying he was trying to capture the fullness of my background with the form's constrained boxes. And during his campaign, the millennial progressive has leaned into his roots in a diverse city. Well, that's what you need to gain votes. That's what politicians do. They'll do and say whatever it is they need to do to get those precious votes. He has also made his Muslim faith a visible part of his campaign. He visited mosques regularly and released a campaign video in Urdu about the city's cost of living crisis. We know that to stand in public as a Muslim is also to sacrifice the safety that we can sometimes find in the shadows, he said at a rally. We're such victims. What's happening in your country right now? What are Muslims in your country doing? Anyway, Mamdani and his wife, 27-year-old Brooklyn-based Syrian artist Rama Douaji, met on the dating app Hinge. His mother, Mira Nair, is a celebrated film director, and his father, Professor Mahmoud Mamdani, teaches at Columbia. Both parents are alumni of Harvard University. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, before entering politics, he worked as a housing counsellor, helping low-income homeowners in Queens fight eviction. Like his opponents, were they just not paying their rent? Well, if you don't have any money, then you can't live there. Sorry. Tough titty. Can't afford it, don't rent the place. But no, you have to fight it and but not your house. Get out. But anyway, like his opponents, Mamdani's mayoral campaign focused heavily on making the city safer and more affordable. But he pushed more radical ways to accomplish those goals, some of which will be uncharted territory for New York City. Part of what made Mamdani so successful during his campaign was that younger voters perceived him to be authentic on social media, says Jane Hall, communications professor at American University. You don't have to be young to be able to do it, but I think you have to be seen as being authentic and speaking to what people care about in a way that is hip. Shut up. It makes people want to be on the bandwagon, Professor Hall said. What's up, you fly cats? Want free stuff from the government? So just give us 80% of your paycheck and we'll give you free stuff. Hell yeah. How do you do, my fellow kids? Are we feeling hip and fly today? Shut up. Fucking eating with his hands. Mamdani's critics have argued that he does not have enough experience to lead the largest US city effectively. The guy can't even use a fork. Trump has tried to paint him as a radical, repeatedly calling him a communist, though Mamdani has frequently rejected that label. The president has also threatened to withhold federal funds from a Mamdani administration. He is a socialist. He is a socialist, which is just communism light. Right, that's all it is, and socialism does eventually always lead to communism. After declaring victory in the mayoral race, Mamdani addressed the president directly. Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us. Cringe. Trump begins promptly posted on social media, and so it begins. Andres Bernal, former policy advisor to New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, another socialist, says Democrats can learn from Mamdani's ability to connect with people. No, it's fine. All you have to do is basically replace all of the natives. That's all you have to do. Basically, it's create a melting pot. What they really mean is no natives. No natives, no whites. That's what they really mean. All you have to do is called dial a voter. You just order voters in like pizza. Just let them all into the country illegally. Say, remember who helped you out when it comes to election time, and then they'll all just vote for you. That's how you do it. You can just rig elections that way. Right, everybody's talking about election interference. Like, illegal immigration is election interference. It is. It just is. But it's just allowed to continue unimpeded. Today's Republicans shape public discourse and they try to shape political consciousness in this country, Bernal argued. While Democrats kind of just assume that people have fixed beliefs and they look at polls and say, okay, how do we match what we say to what we think people believe? Rent freeze plan. The high cost of housing is one of residents' most common gripes about living in the city that never sleeps. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan in November 2025 is $4,778, a nearly 20% increase from 3 years prior, according to apartment listing site RentHop. And in Brooklyn, average rent for a one-bedroom is $3,625, about a 5% increase, according to RentHop. One of the most talked about points in Mamdani's housing plan is freezing rent for 4 years on the city's 1 million rent stabilised apartments. I can already tell you exactly what's going to happen because that's happened every single time the rent's been frozen. This is a city where 1 in 4 of its people are living in poverty, a city where 500,000 kids go to sleep hungry every night, Mamdani told the BBC over the summer. And ultimately, it's a city that is in danger of losing that which makes it so special. But researchers at Maverick Real Estate Partners argue that the 4-year rent freeze would be catastrophic for many building owners, permanently reducing their net operating income. This is what's going to happen, because it's happened every single time the rent's been frozen. There's always a deadline. There's always a deadline where, on this day, we're going to freeze rent. So what happens is, just before the day, every single landlord increases their rent. They go, shit, let's look at our future predictions. Right, fine. This is what the rent is now. There's mass evictions and stuff like that. Here's the rent. Don't like it. Move the fuck out. We'll get somebody else. Because I'm not allowed to change this price for the next 4 years, and I need to change it in order to be able to keep the building, to keep my property. So what they do, massive spikes in rent right before the freeze. It's happened every single time that's been done. And then if they don't, and the reason is, if they don't increase it, the rent's frozen for 4 years. Property taxes and expenses and inflation are not frozen. They keep getting higher. They keep going up. The cost of keeping the building becomes more and more and more and more and more. And what happens is the landlord goes, right, okay, my property tax is up. Inflation is up. Things are crap. This building is now costing me money. I'm going to sell it. And what happens is the people in the house just get evicted fucking anyway. Right, that's what happens. So basically, this is a stupid fucking idea. Everybody just increases their prices and everybody gets evicted. And then what happens is, even if they keep it at a reasonable price, the property taxes, see if you want it to work, you need to freeze every other cost that is associated with owning that building. Right, which you definitely won't do because the government's like, no, that's my money. That's my taxes. That goes to me. No, what do you mean freeze our own money, you fucking maniac? No, we need that. Well, so do the landlords. Land chads. I'm also a land chad. And yes, I have evicted people. Right, but pay your fucking rent then. But basically, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be catastrophic. And it's happened every single time this has been done. Right? In Argentina, when Javi, you know, I lost a bit of love for him for some of the stuff that he's done, but I still think he's doing an okay job. Right? When he removed all rent controls, that's when all the landlords kind of panicked and went, fuck. We now have to compete with each other. And compete they did, and it actually made rent fall. Isn't it funny when the government removes regulation, stops dicking around with the economy, everything gets better? But anyway, Mamdani ran on a campaign of making the most expensive US city affordable for its residents beyond simply housing. One of his more novel ideas is creating a network of city-owned grocery stores. There it is. Across New York's 5 boroughs, expanding on the 6 city-owned stores. Shopping in such shops would be cheaper for customers. So what's going to happen is the state, since it has all the power, will not need to pay for licenses, permits, rent, any of that other stuff. Probably won't even have to pay property taxes because it is state-owned. At which point it is able to undercut prices because that it is. You see how the handy thing is when you're playing a game of football, things are very, very easy if you're the referee. If you're the referee, so basically you can just undercut all the competition. So they'll show your little mom and pop shops. They're fucked. They're not going to be able to compete with that. A business that doesn't have the extreme expenses associated with paying the government for living in the middle of a city, yeah, and it's going to be state-owned. And eventually, once it's got rid of all the competition, it'll then go, oh, sorry, do you want our service to be better? Do you want our products to be better? Do you want our shit to be cheaper? That's too bad. That's what's going to happen. This is just, he's going, here are all these things that I'm going to do, which have been done before and failed fucking catastrophically. Fucking socialists do not learn. They do not fucking learn. But critics have argued that Mamdani's proposal ignores complex logistical realities of the food supply chain. He also wants to make public buses free. They're not free, there'll be a tax increase. The current fare for most riders is $2.90, and he plans to make them faster. Well, Mamdani has estimated that his plan would cost the city $630 million a year. The chair of the MTA told the Gothamist website that it would be closer to $1 billion, and that $1 billion has to come from somewhere. The taxpayer's pocket. So it's not free. Anything the government gives you, it's not free. It's being paid for with your money that you already paid them. If a guy steals £20 from me and gives me £20 worth of groceries, he can't, here's free groceries. It's not free. You took my money to go and buy it. Although the way the government works is the government would take £20 and then give me £3 worth of groceries. And go, here, free groceries. And I'm like, what happened to the other 17? And they're just like, sorry, what? Right, yeah, that's why I just don't. It's not free. Anything the government gives you for free is not fucking free. You already paid for it. Fucking idiots. Also on Mamdani's agenda is lowering the cost of childcare, citing the experiences of friends who have told him that they are leaving the city due to the high costs. To help pay for his plans, Mamdani wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 11.5%, and watch what happens. All the businesses are going to leave. This is what's called capital flight. He's making the exact same mistakes of every fucking socialist government before him. Or is the tax 11.5%? Well, like in Texas, there's like none of that. So let's just go there instead, and they'll take all their jobs with him. And hey ho, a bunch of people are now unemployed because you drove out all the companies. Well done. Matching the top end of New Jersey's range. The corporate tax rate in New York City currently goes up to 7.25%. Oh, that's a hell of a hike. Yeah, a bunch of businesses are going to leave. He also wants to add a flat 2% tax for New Yorkers who make more than £1 million a year. Do you know that the top 1% pay overwhelmingly more tax than the other 99% combined? They just do. The campaign said that these hikes would raise $9 billion, $9 billion at first until the people making more than $1 million leave. They'll just leave. You can work from home now. You can do it from anywhere in the country. But how they would be raised remains a question. Kathy Hochul, the governor of wider New York State, has also said that she won't support the new mayor's plan to increase taxes on the wealthy. Now, the wealthy create jobs. When you drive the wealthy away, there's no jobs. But anyway, Mamdani wants to raise the city's minimum wage, currently £16.50 per hour, up to £30 per hour by 2030. That's great. So all the little mom and pop shops now can no longer afford their staff. They can no longer afford it because anytime this has been tried, all the little family-owned businesses shut down because they can no longer afford their staff. Right, and it's on top of all the extra exorbitant expenses on top of that as well. Right, you are making every single base. You think New York's bad now? It's about to get so much worse. But critics have argued that it would put many lower skilled workers out of the workforce and force them out of the city. Quality of life is another major concern for New Yorkers. Only 34% of them ranked the city as excellent or good in 2025, down from 51% in 2017, according to a survey from the Citizens Budget Commission. Sorry, this has been a slightly longer video. A flagship element of Mamdani's platform is creating a Department of Community Safety, which would expand city mental health services, including building a system for mental health workers to respond to related 911 calls instead of police. This has been discussed before, and it was catastrophic. You're going to send a social worker to deal with a guy in the middle of the street, standing in the road like a Silent Hill nurse, waving around a knife, holding a human severed head. We just need to talk to him. Communicating with fucking demons, like the microchip in my brain told me to do it. Joe Biden, wake up. Right, you're going to send social workers to deal with that guy. Yeah, those people are not going to... That role is going to have a high fucking turnover rate. They're going to deal with their first fucking fent head and immediately fucking quit. Mamdani's Republican opponents, Curtis Sliwa, criticised the plan. Curtis Sliwa is going to be someone you're going to be hearing from very, very soon, saying it's unrealistic and unsafe for social workers to respond to potentially violent situations, which is true. Views on Israel-Gaza war. Mamdani's strong support of Palestinians and staunch criticism of Israel goes further than most of the Democratic establishment. There are many jokes that I can make. Yeah, the Democrat Party hates Israel. Yeah, as an assemblyman, he introduced a bill to end the tax-exempt status of New York charities with ties to Israeli settlements that violate international human rights law. He has said he believes Israel is committing genocide in Gaza as an apartheid state and that Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should be arrested. Israel vehemently rejects accusations of genocide and apartheid. I have no comment to make on that because, see, the Israel-Gaza thing, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Mamdani has been pressed numerous times by press and interviews to state whether he supports Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. In response, he said, "I'm not comfortable supporting any state that has a hierarchy of citizenship on the basis of religion or anything else." Well, boy, oh boy, son, wait until you hear about the Muslim countries. You know, your religion? Wait until you hear about that. But anyway... I think that in the way that we have in this country, equality should be enshrined in every country in the world. Israel says all religions have equal rights under the law. Mamdani has also said there is no room for anti-Semitism in New York City, adding that if he were elected, he would increase funding to combat hate crimes. What about just crime in general? Notice how he specifically went about, like, New York is a crime-riddled fucking shithole. Like, it is terrible. It is a fucking horrible place to live. People get mugged fucking constantly. People get assaulted all the time in the street by, like, tweaking fent heads and all that shit. All of that stuff is terrible, but he's like, no, the minorities is what matters. Never mind the crime that affects everyone. It's only the minorities. I only care about them. I'm going to focus on hate crimes, not crime in general, which is rampant throughout the fucking city, one of the most dangerous cities in America. Right, none of that. We need to go after the hate crimes because I'm woke and cool. Oh, here we are. It's at the end of the article. Yeah. So basically, all of his policies have been tried before, and all of them have failed catastrophically because he's socialist and he's doing socialist things. But this is what New York wanted. And I'm quite happy for them to get what they want.